Welcome. We are so thrilled you're here. Pretty soon, thousands of brilliant educators are going to be packing their bags and heading to Houston, Texas. But you know what? Before anyone can share their cutting-edge ideas on that stage, we need you. The entire foundation of this convention literally relies on you, our peer reviewers. So let's jump right in and look at exactly how we can make this review process fair, efficient, and incredibly impactful for everyone involved.
Houston is calling. It's the vibrant home for our 2027 International Convention and Expo. Now, by stepping up as a reviewer for the Culture and Intercultural Communication Strand, or CIC for short, you're basically taking on the role of a gatekeeper. You are the one who's going to help spotlight fresh innovations and really elevate those important global voices. The choices you make are going to directly shape the future of global English language teaching. It's a big responsibility for sure, but it is also incredibly rewarding.
To make your job as easy as possible today, we've built this explainer around a really clear four-part roadmap. We like to call it the reviewer's journey. We're going to cover context, compass, craft, and community. It's a smooth ride from start to finish, so let's get going.
All right, first stop on the journey, Section 1, Context. Let's look at the CIC strand and what makes a really strong proposal.
So TESOL actually has 13 different strands, which are essentially just clusters of related topics. But you might be wondering, what exactly is the CIC identity? Well, simply put, the CIC strand is the dynamic intersection of language, identity, and cultural negotiation. It focuses entirely on how culture impacts English language teaching and learning. Think about subtopics like intercultural pragmatics, cultural identities, and plurilingual approaches. If a proposal focuses on those kinds of areas, it's going to be right at home in our strand.
Now here's a quick conceptual map, which is basically the theoretical backbone of our strand. And don't worry, you absolutely don't need to memorize this, but it really helps to see the big picture. First, we view culture as shared, dynamic behaviors. Second, we value intercultural competence, which just means recognizing that behaviors are culturally variable. There's no single definition of normal. Third, we look at intercultural communication as the act of negotiating meaning across cultural lines. And finally, teaching culture involves addressing complex identities in multilingual contexts. That's the specific lens through which you'll be viewing these proposals.
So, what does a truly strong proposal actually look like in the wild? Well, a successful submission typically balances four key elements: relevance, innovation, nuance, and clarity. For example, a relevant and innovative proposal might focus on redesigning Djibouti's EFL program with a culturally relevant curriculum, instead of just relying on Western textbooks. Another really strong proposal might tackle nuanced topics, like preventing Islamophobia through intercultural literacy. The very best proposals avoid oversimplifying or essentializing cultures. They embrace complexity, and they make it crystal clear what the audience is going to walk away learning. Moving right along to Section 2, Compass. This is all about ethics, bias, and looking through that intercultural lens. As a reviewer, your ethical compass is built on three core tenets: confidentiality, fairness, and timeliness. You need to keep all proposal contents totally private, evaluate them objectively based strictly on the rubric provided, and of course, hit your deadlines. But what happens if you spot a major issue? Well, that's exactly when they'll use the flagging portal checkboxes. You'll want to use those if a commercial interest is being aggressively pitched, if the presenter or their institution accidentally gets identified in what's supposed to be a blind review, or if highly sensitive topics are being handled poorly.
We are a global organization, right? So it is absolutely crucial that we maintain an intercultural lens to keep this whole process fair. When you're reading, if you see deficit thinking, which is where a learner's culture or language is framed as a problem to fix, you need to flag it. Watch out for blatant stereotypes, othering language that creates an us versus them dynamic, or just general insensitivity. And please, remember this one critical rule: non-standard use of English is never, ever a reason to reject a proposal.
Let me give you a really practical example of why that last point matters so much. Research shows that Romanian learners of English frequently omit the to be auxiliary verb. So, for instance, instead of writing "I am stretching the dough," they might write "I stretching the dough." Or they might use the simple present for an action happening right now, like "he cleaned the oven now." This is a thoroughly documented linguistic pattern of global Englishes. It does not reflect a lack of intelligence, and it absolutely does not reflect a lack of academic merit. As a reviewer, your job is to look past the grammar and evaluate the core ideas. Sometimes the best thing you can do is step back. Let's use a quick decision tree to know exactly when you should reassign a proposal. Scenario A: you instantly recognize the author or the specific project. That's a clear conflict of interest. Go ahead and reassign it. Scenario B:
The proposal relies heavily on a highly specific theory that is entirely outside your wheelhouse. Reassign it. But look at scenario C. You disagree with the author's theory, but it's well-researched and well-argued. In that case, you proceed. You review it objectively based on the rubric, not your personal preference.
All right, part 3, craft. Let's talk about evaluating and actually writing out that constructive feedback.
The feedback you write goes directed to the applicant, so tone is literally everything here. Instead of writing a blunt, directive comment like, "The proposal is full of typos, proofread it," try reframing it using I statements. You could write, "I was distracted by typographical errors. Have you considered asking a colleague to review?" Instead of saying, "The proposal is unclear," write something like, "I wasn't clear on outcomes." A brief statement of what the audience will do would help. See the difference? This approach remains collegial, specific, and most importantly, highly actionable.
While we're talking about feedback, let's highlight a few common traps you definitely want to avoid. First, never make promises. Do not write, "I would definitely attend this," in the applicant comments, because frankly, we just can't guarantee their proposal will be accepted. Second, do not copy-paste the exact same text for the applicant and the coordinator. We have separate boxes for a reason. Third, avoid leaving super vague notes to the coordinator. Give us simple, clear directives like "highly recommend." And finally, never ignore the rubric.
Okay, let's do a quick interactive scenario here. I want you to pause and really think about this reviewer's comment. Imagine you're the applicant, and you receive this. Your session on international students is terrible because it assumes they have no prior knowledge. Also, I think this should be accepted. Take a few seconds. What exactly went wrong here?
If you guessed all of the above, you hit the nail right on the head. This feedback is pretty much a disaster on all fronts. It aggressively uses you instead of framing the critique with a constructive I statement. It completely inappropriately makes a promise of acceptance to the applicant. And honestly, calling a peer's session terrible entirely lacks the collegial tone we expect from TESOL professionals. Always aim to lift your peers up, even if you have to give a lower score. Let's move into Section 4, your blueprint for proposal review.
Think of this as your rapid-fire, 5-step checklist to keep you on track. First, read for strand alignment and watch for any red flags regarding bias or conflicts. Second, evaluate objectively using the rubric, remembering to look right past non-standard English. Third, draft constructive I statements and offer very specific fixes. Fourth, separate your feedback. Constructive notes go to the applicant, and a brief, direct verdict goes to the coordinators. And fifth, submit your reviews on time while maintaining total confidentiality. Just keep this blueprint handy as you work, and you'll do great.
And finally, we've reached Section 5, Community and Next Steps.
You know, reviewing proposals is really just the beginning of your impact. By doing this, you are part of a massive global network. We highly encourage you to expand your professional footprint even further by joining a TESOL Interest section, or IS. It's just a fantastic way to find your specific professional home, collaborate with peers from all over the world, and even step into volunteer leadership roles year-round. This is exactly how we build strong intercultural professional connections that last way beyond the convention in Houston. And that brings us to the end of our explainer. Thank you so much for volunteering your time and expertise to guide TESOL 2027. Your immediate next step is to look out for an email containing a practice survey with a rubric. Please go ahead and complete it to build up your confidence before the live reviews officially begin. And hey, feel free to reach out to the CIC Strand coordinators if you need any support at all. But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought. The unbiased, careful evaluations you make today are quite literally shaping the English language classrooms of tomorrow. Are you ready to find the next great idea? Thank you for joining us, and happy reviewing.